friends. So in this session, we're going to talk about the evidences for biological evolution. So in the last two parts, we spoke about an introductory notes on what is evolution and how all the earth is been evolved and what are the various theories supporting the evolution of earth. And then in the second part of the course, we spoke about the different experiments and also along with its geological time scale with its eras, and we had 4 eras, right? So yes, in this session we are going to talk about the evidences of biological evolution. We have 5 evidences which are very much interesting. So the first evidence we're going to talk about is paleontological evidences. So these evidences are basically to support that right from the coazoate primitive single-celled organism, the other organism invertebrates have been evolved. So to be more precise, from the unicellular organism there has been an evolution of multicellular. From multicellular there is the invertebrates, and from invertebrates there are vertebrates, and then you have different classes: mammals, aves, reptiles, amphibians and all those, right? So that's how the evolutionary process is. So to support this, or to support how all the extinct organisms have evolved, or did they exactly exist in the planet? So that's the big question mark. To support all this, we are going to talk about this paleontological evidences. So paleontology is basically to be related with the archaeology. So I think most of y'all's field of interest should be archaeology, because it just kindles your creativity to just digs up the earth and to exactly know what is it. Because I used to see a lot of archaeological videos in websites. So that's how it is. So you can also go view it. It will be much interesting. How did they find the coprolites of dinosaurs, the evidences that dinosaurs have actually existed in the world, regarding the woolly mammoths. You can go search it in the net. So yes, the first is paleontological. In that, fossilization. So you all would have come across the term fossilization. Is it because once the animal dies, they are all onto the surface of the soil, and what happens as the climatic condition changes, there will be even more the surface of soil which has been added to the dead animal. So that's how. So as the course of time, when you talk about 22,000 years and 3,000 years later, so on to the animals would have been like some kilometers or a number of meters of soil that's been covered the surface of the dead animal. So that is fossilization. So in fossilization, we're going to talk about 3 different evidences. The first is actual remains. So actual remains are something like, for example, an animal is dead and you talk about the bones of an animal, the teeth of an animal, so the hard layer of these animals. So it could be a terrestrial animal or an aquatic animal. If it is an aquatic animal, what happens? The animal which has been dead is been buried deep under the ocean sea, and the salt content in these oceans help these animals, help them to preserve these bones, teeth, so that when the deep water divers go and explore all this, so you can actually find out, so this type of aquatic animal has really existed in the world, and this sort of terrestrial animal has been really existed in the world. So all that. So next we'll talk about petrifaction. So petrifaction is where when an animal dies, for example, you can take a snail, a normal snail, the old age snail. It has its own shell, right? So for example, when this snail dies and there is a shell, it's been on the surface of the soil. So now what happens? Onto the inner spaces of the shell, the mineral content of the soil actually enters the shell and they safeguard the shell. So that is all about the petrifaction. So next is natural molds. So natural molds or the impressions. For example, a precise example is that during the time of Lord Ganesh Chaturthi, so people sell idols of Lord Ganesha and they're all made up of clay, right? So now how they exactly make that? It's by the process of molding and casting. So they'll have a mold it could be a plastic mold or metal or cement mold onto which they fill up the clay, and once the clay is tightly packed onto the mold, and after a certain period of time, when you remove the mold from the cast, what happens? There is the impression, a very fantastic impression of Lord Ganesha's idol, right? So that is called as natural mold. So the same way, onto the surface of a clay where an animal dies, the impression of the animal has been impinged onto the surface of the clay, and that is called as natural molds. So we spoke about the 3 paleontological evidences, and next we will talk about the evidences from anatomy. So we study anatomy and physiology. Is that physiology is the physical appearance, so just the general function. But when you talk about anatomy, you're generally referring to the cross section or the transverse section to the particular animal, okay, or a plant it could be. So that is your anatomy. So in that you talk about the homologous and the analogous. So for example, when you talk, if it is homologous, you have limbs. So to be more precise, they are similar in origin but different function. For example, you take cat, horse, bat, bird and humans. So we all have limbs, right? We all have 4 limbs, 2 upper and the 2 lower limbs, right? For example, when you take humans, we have this humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges, right? So we have 206 bones where you can go through the different names of 206 bones, so it will be helpful for you when you actually get into medicine. So that is all about. So what happens in type of cat or dogs or the other animals like horse and bat, they also have 4 limbs, right? So they also have this exact humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges. But what about the function? So for humans, it is useful for doing a mechanical work, be it eating or writing or whatever. For humans, it is useful in doing a mechanical work. But what happens in cat? For cats, it is much helpful for the cats to hold on to a particular substratum, be it a wall, jumping from one wall to the other wall, all this mischiefs cat does, right? So jumping from one place to the other place, 4 limbs of the cat are modified to be in a powerful way that it has the proper hold on to the substratum. For example, horse should exactly have the strongest bones because you're all the fast runners. They also have the limbs, right, with the exact bone structure. But what happens? The function is totally different. And then for example, bat, it's for flying, and it's for bird, the 4 limbs have been modified in the form of wings. So this is all about homologous, which means that the structure or the bone is almost similar but the function is different. So that is about homologous. Then you talk about analogy or analogous anatomy, is that different structure but similar function. For example, you take a cockroach and compare it with the structure of a bird. Bird has wings and cockroach too has wings. So now here we are not comparing regarding how much altitude a bird or a cockroach can fly. No, never. We are not going to talk about that. The only function is where cockroach is able to fly and a bird is also able to fly. So, but the function is similar, right? Both are flying. But look at the structure. So in bird you have all sort of like thick feathers covering it, and you have a thick sheet of skin onto which the feathers are attached, and they are all really huge. But in case of cockroach, you have glossy, transparent forelimbs through which helps them in flight, right? So that is the analogous, which means that you have different structure but the function is all similar. So next, the third is vestigial. So vestigial is where you have certain organs but they are all useless organs. For example, your wisdom teeth, right? It starts growing right from the age 17 to 21. So what are these wisdom tooth do? They are all of no function. They never help you to chew your food. So that is your wisdom teeth, where even when it is extracted, when it is uprooted, no harm in it. Eventually you will be able to chew your food in a proper manner only. And then when you talk about this cocci is your, when there's a spinal bone, right? So the last region is your cocci, and this is the vestigial organ. Because when you take over, when you compare our ancestors, apes and chimpanzees, they all had, the primates and the other mammals, reptiles had a long tail, and the tail is because of this tailbone cockle, right? So, but humans it is vestigial. So next is your appendix. So appendix is no more useful in humans. It's useful in animals, which takes a lot of plant material. So it needs cellulose for it to disintegrate the food. So even appendix is not useful in humans. Next is what? Atavism. Atavism is the sudden throwback of our ancestral characters. For example, have you seen humans, the babies, newborn babies with a short tail, or newborn babies with a lot of dense fur on their surface of the body? If no, you can go and search it. This will be very interesting. In the sense, it will be much interesting to look onto the pictures how atavism, but they are all gene manipulations and mutations. And then the connecting link. So when you talk, the most significant principle is that the example is that Archaeopteryx. So there was a huge confusion went on to know which is the connecting link between what, and then this Archaeopteryx is a bird or a reptile, and then at last they came to the conclusion that Archaeopteryx is a bird, but it is the connecting link between the reptiles and the class apes, because from the reptiles, the apes, the bird community class has been evolved, because reptiles, and what's the major difference between a reptile and a bird is that reptiles, they all have thick leathery skin, right? They have thick skinned animals. Most of them are like terrestrial and they lay eggs. So that's how reptiles are. But you talk about apes, apes have a slight difference. The forelimbs are modified in the form of wings, and here also they have thick skin, but which is covered with the help of fur instead of, feathers instead of the skin, the leathery skin. So that's how the Archaeopteryx is a connecting link between reptiles and apes. So in this session we spoke about the 5 different evidences of biological evolution: paleontological, atavism, connecting link, evidences from anatomy, and vestigial. Thank you.